Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen, Alyx King, and life coach Tom Wells here. Today is Friday, December the 21st, 2018, 8 a.m. Eastern, that's New York time, 5 a.m. Los Angeles time, 1 p.m. in London and in Sydney, Australia, 12 midnight. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in live, if you're listening to the recording, well, thank you for tuning in to that too. We're off to another start here with a Q&A session primarily aimed at the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group, although we're also now more broadly expanding because we're broadcasting on LOA Today's page on Facebook so that you don't have to be a member of the group in order to participate. Anybody can participate now. So hopefully everybody can find us in the world now. That's the whole objective, right?
And that's a lot of people.
It is. Well, it is a lot of people. Hey, we got to get them on here somehow, right?
The more the merrier. Might as well invite them all.
Besides, we've got to debut Alyx's hair because she's got it all combed out. So you got to make sure that it's everywhere, right, Alyx? I mean,
well, the color that it is this week.
I want dark blue hair. I want hair this color, the darker blue.
It's cerulean.
That is?
Cerulean. That's the name of the color.
From which star? Okay. Which star do you come from?
I don't know.
That sounds like a name of a star.
Yeah, she's a member of the Cerulean Foundation. They're invading the Earth's solar system, right?
Right.
They're going to turn everybody's hair blue.
I could totally see Alyx on Star Trek.
I could do it.
Yeah,
I could do it.
That'd be good.
Even though I've never seen an episode, but yep, I could do it.
Oh, you haven't? It's so old school now, right? I mean, it's like
they've redone it so many times.
Yeah,
so
I know they have.
Yeah.
But I've actually run into other people who have never seen it ever.
Well, I'm blown away that the Queen of TV has never seen it. I mean, she does.
I know.
TV, and she's never seen it. That's the part that blows my mind. Like you got.
Well, that was before it came. Before I was a TV fanatic.
Ah, okay. Well, that's a reasonable excuse. I'll go with that.
I would say I'm a second generation Trekkie though, because my mom's a Trekkie.
Oh.
Okay. Well, then ask her whether or not blue is actually the appropriate color for a Star Trekkie.
Okay.
So I can see people are starting to filter in. This is, again, a Q&A, and if you have any questions or comments you want to include on the conversation, please do so if you're listening to the live stream anyway, because we'd love to have that kind of participation from our audience. And I was trying to think, what's the topic for today? I was actually thinking about something regarding how we focus on what it is that we want in our lives, or more precisely, how we don't focus on what we want in our lives. And I say that because I'm really becoming aware, and I want to see what you guys think about this. I'm really becoming aware in a big, big way lately of how people, including myself, will create these little images, these little, we'll create vision boards, we'll do affirmations, we'll do a whole bunch of things, and we'll do them and we'll focus on them for like 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. And then we go on with the rest of our day, and we completely contradict everything that we said in those little vision boards and vignettes and affirmations. I mean, I'm really, really aware of that because when you contradict yourself, you're basically undermining all that work that you're doing. So I'm going to post the first question to Tom on this one because he's the life coach. So Tom, what's the secret? I mean, what's the trick? What methods should we use to make sure that we're focused on what we want instead of getting back into those old habitual patterns? Because they're just so easy to fall into, you know?
Of course, there's so many things we can do, but I think the main thing that I would say is we've got to get into the present moment and enjoy it more, because no matter what we're choosing to do, we always have kind of that choice, you know what I mean? We definitely always have that choice. I was thinking today of how it's like a couple days before Christmas, and when I was a kid, I was so excited. For 2 solid weeks leading up to Christmas, I was nothing but, I was just in ecstasy, you know, at least, of course, school was out too. That was a big part of it. But I could see these presents accumulating under the tree, and I don't know, the whole thing was just like such a turn on for me. I was just happy all the time. And I was thinking today, like your question, how could we, if we're focusing for 5 or 10 minutes a day on the thing we most want, how come we then don't focus on what we want the rest of the day? But it always comes down to the present moment. Like are we having a good time in the present moment? And if we let ourselves have a good time in our life, and go, hey, this is my life. Yeah, there's going to be a future, maybe, but I don't even know if I'm going to be here another day. I don't know that.
Right.
And so if I'm not enjoying it right now, and I'm too worried about getting all the things I want later, or I'm suffering, sometimes we're suffering a lot in the present moment, but even then, we've got to find a way to get through it. So we have to find a way to chill out. So that's my answer. I mean, one of the biggest things to do is to fall in love with your life right now. Find things that we can appreciate about it. And from that place, we attract the next best thing and the next best thing. That's how life happens. It happens one moment at a time. And if we're in a good vibe now, we're going to attract another good vibe thing. And all those things we put on our vision board and in our 5 minutes of affirmations a day or whatever, they're only going to come about from that vibration moment by moment. So it's like, that's the only thing we're trying to learn is, how can I be happy right now? How can I relax? Even if I'm not happy, how can I chill and enjoy whatever emotion is coming up, because it's teaching me something. Everything is happening for some divine reason. So there's something beautiful about every moment. How can I find a way to relax? So anyway,
What do you
long
think,
answer.
Alex? Has he got it, or is there more to it?
No, I think he's got it.
Oh,
Okay.
Alex, you must have another insight.
I think it reminds me of what Carlos was saying on the podcast on Tuesday about how we need to take action towards what we want. So we need to do things like for instance, if you're trying to manifest, I don't know, like I don't know, somebody had said they manifested a new computer. So to take the steps to manifest, you might want to look up the computer. You might want to like look up how much it's going to be, start manifesting that amount of money, things of that nature, and then it'll snowball like Tom said.
Okay. And I have often thought the same thing myself, but I'm also becoming really cognizant lately of the Abraham Hicks metaphor of the boat on the stream. And there's the
Mhm.
upstream and there's the downstream. And upstream is where we're trying to row to. But the problem is that everything we want is downstream. So all we have to do is let go of the oars. The boat will turn and it'll head right downstream to where all our stuff is, which makes me
Mhm.
wonder, how much doing are we supposed to be doing? In other words, so, or more put another way, what doing are we supposed to be doing? What's the doing we're supposed to do? Are we supposed to be figuring out how to get there? Or is the doing that we're supposed to be doing, along the lines of what Tom was saying, just doing it because we're loving doing it? We've already decided, we've already put out there what we want. Okay, so we let go of the oars and then we start partying and feeling good while the boat turns around and heads downstream for us. That's where I'm kind of leaning right now.
Mhm.
And yet that kind of flies in the face of what you were saying. So, and I agree with what you're saying. So I'm torn. I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't know which way to answer. I think it's more the downstream one, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So
Well, when you're
anyway,
going downstream,
go ahead,
go
Tom.
ahead. Oh, I
No,
was just
no.
going to say, I thought of it the other day that when I'm going downstream, I still, I used to go down a lot of rivers in the Colorado, Utah area on river trips. And when you're going downstream, you have to watch for rocks and you have to watch for the walls of the canyon and for rapids that could be certain areas you don't want to go through because it could tip over your raft. And so
Mhm.
there's always a little steering involved. And so what I look at is that it's like, am I steering my raft at the same time as I'm relaxing about the ride I'm on? So there's trust combined with being attentive to my vibration, being attentive to the choices I'm making, so that I'm not just, because if we live out of our past constantly, we're going to continually get the same result.
Mhm.
Like if we're acting just on what our past has taught us to be afraid of, or to be angry about, or to be whatever focused on. It all comes down to what we're focused on, we're going to get more of. And how can we focus on these things that we want to see unfold in our lives without feeling like we're constantly trying to make this effort that is taking us out of the present moment, where we can't enjoy, because we're trying so hard because we're so worried about the future. So somehow we've got to be in a place where I think the future does unfold for us just beautifully when we're very relaxed and chilled, but we also set those intentions. We also have those visions that we put on our vision board, or that, but like Seth says a lot, they say these affirmations and then let them go, or, have those visualizations for 5 or 10 minutes, then let them go. So there's something about this, you make your effort, but then you let go. It just seems like it must be just a dance, and we come to enjoy that dance. But getting our focus off the past is huge. I mean, because if we're always just doing the same thing we did yesterday, we're going to get the same result today.
I think we're onto a good topic here. Also, I want to make sure I bring in our audience, because we already have our first question, and maybe this even relates. It's quite possible. Nashia, one of our regulars, of course, asks, what does a dream you see often indicate? So if you have the same dream over and over again, what's that telling you? Is it a message? Is it a sign? What do you think of? Do you have that happen to you? What is it? What's a dream that we have over and over again about?
What do you think, Walt?
Well, I asked you first.
Oh, you're asking me? Or you're asking Alyx? Okay. Well,
I'll ask Alyx then, because Alyx hasn't gotten enough airtime lately, so I'll go to Alyx. Alyx, what does it mean if you have a repeated dream over and over again? It just keeps coming back. What does that tell you? Is it a message? Is it something that your subconscious mind is just kind of spilling out? I mean, what is it?
I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be a message from whoever or whatever, but it also could be something from your past that you're just reliving over and over. It's something that you regret, or something that you have issue with. And, but basically dreams are about letting go. So focus on the dream, try to finish the dream, and then, get a book and try to look up the meaning and see what different things mean. That's what I used to do.
You used to do. You don't do that anymore.
Not so much. Because I'm on so much medication that my dreams are crazy. So I gave up.
Well, that's also another indicator right there. It may be an indication you're on too many medications, but nevertheless.
Yeah. I'm actually on medication for dreaming. So.
Are you really?
I am. Yeah, it's called Prozocin, and it's for PTSD nightmares. So yeah, it helps me have better dreams.
Wow. I'd never heard of anything like that. That's pretty wild.
I didn't either until they told me. I feel like it does. I don't have nightmares. So yeah.
Well, I think if a dream is occurring over and over again, that it's our subconscious or wanting us to get a message. And it's doing it in a way that it will not go away, because there's something contained in that dream that has got some really good messages for us that we need to pay attention to. So, yeah, you can do like Alyx said. I mean, you can go back into a dream and ask questions of the characters in the dream. You can go back into a dream in your waking state and close your eyes and, get in touch with your breath and go back to a certain section of the dream and ask that it unfold for you new understandings. And it often will. If you can relax enough and play the game with your own consciousness, it's there. Those dreams are constantly taking place. And so there's a lot of lessons there if we'll take the time and play with it. I don't think it's easy all the time. It isn't for me anyway, to go and talk to the different characters in my dreams, because I don't know if I always trust what the answers I get. I'm thinking, oh, I made that up. But I think it's important to not go to that place. Instead, to have a lot of faith that if we go back into our dreams, we will get answers. We will
Mhm.
learn things. And each one of our dreams is so private to each one of us that I just believe we've got to play with it to find the answers.
So are you an advocate of what they call lucid dreaming, where you deliberately, consciously take an active role
Hmm.
and be a participant rather than just being led through the dream, and then
Yeah.
while you're lucid dreaming, ask questions and
Hmm.
learn more about what it is that you're trying to learn?
Yeah, you can even go on journeys in a lucid dream, like you can direct what's happening in the dream. And I just got a book on it, and so I'm really just a novice. I'm starting to do it, but I have had enough lucid dreams where I really felt like I was really clearly participating in the dream that I want to develop that skill. It's a huge way, I believe, to gain self-confidence and to gain self-awareness is to be playing in the dream time as well as in this waking dream, because it's all one big dream with all these different facets to it, you know. Because that's another thing you can do is you begin to look at your daytime life as if it was a dream and see what symbolism is coming to you from different things that show up in your day. So
So you can actually
it's
tie
a
it in to what you're planning to do for the day. I guess that's what you're saying.
That's how my
your
dreams
what
go.
your dream? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
But I'm just barely learning all that stuff. So I think it's exciting as hell though to learn about lucid dreaming and to imagine that I could play in that realm. While I'm in my bed, I could be I could be going into this realm of understanding myself in whole new ways that are taking advantage of all the gifts of the subconscious, because that's a entire world there, and whole cultures believe that we live more in the dream time than we do in what we call this waking reality. That
Well, it's an
lots of
interesting
indigenous.
question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Lots of
Uh,
indigenous cultures, as I said, I think I said on a show recently that lots of indigenous cultures were based on their dreams. The Ashwar Indians, when I was in the rainforest with them in the Amazon in 2009, they got everybody up at 4 a.m. and we all went and told the village elders what our dreams were, and they planned the whole day based on what the dreams of people are every night. That's how they decide. The dreams tell them where the game is going to be found that day in the jungle. It tells them who's coming from another tribe to visit them. Tells them what's going to happen with so and so's broken arm. I mean, they get the answers to everything from the dream time.
Very interesting. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
we've got some more commentary and questions from our audience, so let's bring some of that in. Suraj asked a question and also made a comment. He says, "Is there any place to tackle deadlock situations in our day-to-day life?" And then he says, "What you are seeing in your dreams depends on our age also." And I'm curious what you think about both of those comments. Alex, let's go to you first. First of
Well, I
all,
don't know
do
what
you think that? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say. I don't know what deadlock is, but I was gonna say I don't see how your dreams are affected by your age. Like I don't know that. Well, I mean, I'm only 35, so I don't know that to be true. But but I guess no, you do dream different things when you're a kid. So yeah, you know what? That does make sense actually.
Okay. All right. And I guess a deadlock situation, I'm not quite sure what he means by that either, but I'm
Mhm.
assuming it's something where you've reached an impasse of some kind, either with somebody else or with your own thought process, or maybe you've reached some sort of a crossroads, a kind of
Mhm.
a crisis point in your life. You're trying to figure out what to do with it. That may be what he means by a deadlock. I don't know, Suraj, you're going to have to give us a little more detail about what you mean by a deadlock situation. And then Deidre asks, Tom and Alex, is it true that the people we encounter in our dreams are aspects of ourselves? Interesting question there. What do you
I
think,
think
Tom?
so.
Alex, go ahead. You first.
I think so. I think they can be different versions of ourselves, and but also what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. I don't know, Tom. You go. I lost my total train of thought.
I'm currently believing that everything in my dreams is an aspect of me, and it's all to teach me about who I am as a consciousness, much bigger than who I think I am most of the time. The dream is showing me lots of aspects of myself. In psychology, they talk about the animus and the anima, and the anima is your feminine side, and the animus is your masculine side. And when you see a man in your dream, it could be the masculine side of your creative soul is trying to tell you something about your masculine qualities, and the anima is trying to tell you something about your feminine qualities, your creativity and your warmth and your nurturing and your loving side and all those feminine qualities. So there's a lot going on in dreams that we can learn. Some great books about understanding the animus and the anima are out there. So I just find it's a fertile. I just ask every single part of my dream what part of me it is, or what it's trying to teach me. You
It's an
can
interesting
dialogue
question.
with those parts.
Well, that's true. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of the lucid dream, isn't it? To interact directly with what's going on in the dream.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
But it also occurs to me that if I think of who we are in the grand scheme of things, we are source energy that are we're non-physical beings currently having a physical experience. And in the course of that physical experience, we go to sleep and we dream. When we're dreaming, I imagine that in some way we are more directly interacting with the rest of who we are, what I sometimes call my inner Walt. And in the course of doing that, since we are all connected through that source energy, I think it can also be said that when we are experiencing aspects of ourselves in our dreams, we are also experiencing aspects of source energy in our dreams. So, like for instance, I've had dreams where I met family members who have passed on. Do I think I actually met with those family members? Yeah, I think I did. And was that an aspect of myself? Yeah, it was, because I'm connected to all of it. So I think it's both, actually. I think yes, we're interacting with others, and yes, we are interacting with aspects of ourselves, which is a
I
little
agree.
confusing.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I think
we can't separate ourselves actually from anything. We think we can, and that's the way the world appears, as if we're separate from the squirrel outside our window, and we're separate from that tree, and I'm separate from Alyx, and I'm separate from Walt. But in the real larger picture of everything, in the quantum field, we're all incredibly connected. And, that's the way quantum physics has really proven that every molecule in the universe is totally connected to every other molecule. And there aren't even molecules, there's only waves. And then waves collapse and become particles that we then call, things. But in reality, it's a pretty huge dance of wonder that's going on. And we're connected to all of it. And that's the amazing thing, is to keep waking up more and more to that.
yeah, it truly is amazing. I have to say that, and I'm still learning day to day even what it all adds up to. I mean, I feel like I get little pieces of it, and it starts to make more sense, and I say, yes, I've got more understanding of it, and then I think about it some more. I realize I got a whole long ways to go here. I still don't have it all down pat.
I don't know if we ever will.
I was
Maybe
just
not.
going
I don't know.
to say that.
Let's see. And then Nasha says, I see in my dream a secret part of my house. Oh, that's an interesting one. And
That's
it's
awesome.
hidden. And it's so royal. And it's mine. And I'm the head of my country. And Lady Diana is presenting the West. Okay. I like that. That's great.
Lady Diana is presenting what?
The
The
West.
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 Yes.
Oh,
The
that's
Western
awesome.
part called. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
like that metaphor, that description there. I see it in my dream, a secret part of my house. I never even thought of the idea of a secret part of a house. And it's hidden, and which makes sense. Otherwise, it wouldn't be secret. And it's so royal, and it's mine. What a great description. Talk about making a huge, wonderful deal about this little secret place in your house. And it's in your
Yeah.
head. That's pretty cool. I like that. Very nice. You can
A lot
tell.
of
You can write
people,
poetry anytime you want to, Nasha, as far as I'm concerned.
a lot of shamanistic cultures speak about the lower world and the middle world and the upper world, and that we're living now in this 3D reality is the middle world. But there's also a completely lower world and a complete upper world. And in our dreams, we often go like I'm often in a big place like a giant arena or a big forum or a big airport or something, and I go to different levels. And sometimes it's been really clear to me that I'm going to different worlds where there's a different consciousness is determined in different ways depending on the world that I'm in. And there's a lot to be learned in those different worlds, according to the shaman that I've worked with. So there's a whole adventure that awaits us in the unconscious realm.
Not
It's
really.
really it really is, and that's why these cultures believe that's really where we live. We live in this super expanded universe that's way beyond. And when we begin to include our dreams into our day-to-day life and we sleep less, we the veils between the worlds start to get thinner, and we start to experience more of who we really are as infinite beings. And we're less and less feel like we're just playing out the way we grew up. We were so conditioned to believe what this world was because our people who trained us, our teachers and parents, didn't have a concept of this unconscious realm and what really exists in the world. So much more than what meets the eye.
Mm. Well, apparently we've struck a nerve with Siraj because he wants to know more about what we're seeing in dreams. So let me read what he says, and maybe Tom, you can address it from your perspective and from what you've learned by interacting with these shaman and so forth. He says, if you could just give us some examples about dreams, what we see in our dreams, and how it connects to our daily life. He wants some discussion with examples like if we see lots of flood water in our dreams or we saw lots of money in our dreams, what's that all about? So he wants some explanation. I don't know if we can give that to him, but what can we tell him, Tom?
Well, I think the main advice I've heard about dreams from people who seem to know a lot, and this has worked for me, is that it's all up to us. It's all up to us what those images mean, and we're the ones that have to discover that, and we have to sit with it and take the time and go back into the dream. Now we can work with a group. There are dream groups, and if you work with a group of people, they can help you go into your dream. And if you invite them to do that with you, and they can literally close their eyes and see what their experience is when they go into aspects of your dream. And there are whole groups that meet to do that. And
Wow.
I would like to get into one of those groups. But there's I suggest that he read Robert Moss, Moss, Robert Moss. He's one of the leading dream authorities in the world. He's from Australia, and he's a modern day shaman who has really studied dreams and worked with dreams his whole life. Ever since when he was a kid, he almost died of some very severe illnesses that took him into these high states of fever, and that's where he began to open up to what the dream world is all about. And now he's had just amazing experiences where, Native Americans will come and talk with him at night, and all these things happen. It's been going on for years with him. So he teaches workshops all over the world, but his books are really good to read because you start to understand how to work with your dreams and how to understand all these different things that they're trying to teach us. So
Very cool.
it's a whole world of possibility.
Hmm.
So, Alex, I mean, do you have anything to add? I mean, I'm really making a point now. I want to make sure that you're more involved in the conversation because you have a tendency to kind of fade away and just, be the background laughter. So, got anything you can contribute beyond what Tom said?
No, I don't. But most of the time, it's because I'm actually learning from what the conversation that's going on. So
Yeah,
that's
you and me
what
both.
that's yeah.
That's the beauty of being the main host, because when you're learning something and you're not really quite sure what to do with it, you just dish it off to the expert color commentator, in this case Tom Wells. Very simple.
There's a cool statement that I learned in working with dreams, that if you're listening to somebody else and you want to get their opinion on your dream, you say if it was my dream, because you can never be in that person's actual dream, but you can say, if it was my dream, if I saw a lot of money, that would mean to me that, and then you can say what it would mean to me. It would mean that I guess a lot of money's coming to me, or but it's a feeling. Everything's based on the feeling we get from the dream. It's not, there's the symbolism and all that, and you can get a book and read about that stuff, but you're reading somebody else's opinion of your personal experience, which is only maybe going to give you some clues, but really it could mean something entirely different than what the book said. So I don't rely that much on those kind of books, and neither does Robert Moss. He said that stuff is way missing the point. The point is, this is your personal journey. So you're the one that needs to look at those things and see, what's it telling you? What are you feeling inside when you see that, when you hear that thing that happened in the dream? What does it bring up in you? And let it evolve in you. You can work with one dream for a whole month and be learning things from it. You could work with it every day for a month and still learn something new. And go back in and go into different parts of that dream and see how they unfold further. You can ask questions of characters in the dream. Why are you there? What are you trying to show me? Who are you? So there's a lot you can do with them.
Well, excuse me, Bill G., who is going to be on our Sunday podcast, he's the author of a new book called Conscious Conduit. And he suggested that in regard to what Suraj was asking about floods, he says floods generally mean big change. And Suraj responded by thanking him and said, in addition, he survived 2 times from floods. And he says, that may be why I'm seeing it in my dreams. So
Sure.
I would think so. If you've been through floods, that's a pretty strong event. That's an event that's going to stay in your mind quite a bit. So of course,
it's traumatic.
It can be traumatic, very traumatic. Yeah.
And those were dream events too. They just happened in the waking dream.
Yeah.
But they can be interpreted as much as the one that you get at night. It's like it's all teaching.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, I want to make sure I take a moment to remind people who are not yet subscribers to the podcast, please become a subscriber if you're not already. We try to put the links for doing that into the descriptions wherever we post these live stream and pre-recorded recordings. If you don't see a link for your device, we have them for Android devices and for Apple devices, iPhones, iPads, and so forth. If you don't see the links, just go to the homepage of our website at loatoday.net, and you'll see them there. Just click the right one for your device, and it'll just walk you through the process so you can be automatically subscribed, and all the episodes as we do them and as we publish them will come automatically streaming right to your particular smartphone. And then after they've streamed right in there, listen to them, please. That's the whole point. Keep following and listen to all the different episodes we're doing, because I swear every single episode is completely different. The topics we go into can be mind-bending at times, like dream states and what to do with dream states. I mean, I don't think we've really covered that one before, but they're really, really good, so you don't want to miss any of them. And then as you're listening to them, and I want to give a real shout out to Nashia, because she's been doing quite a job on this, but please put out there on social media that you're listening to LOA Today each time that you're listening to an episode, because I tell you, more and more people need to have their daily dose of happy. You found out about what we're doing most likely through social media, so pass it along, help somebody else find it too. And I'm serious when I say I'm shouting out to Nashia, because I am seeing her posting all over the place about how she's listening to LOA Today. She's in conversations telling people about it and so forth. So Nashia is definitely our subscribe it and share it star for the week, and I just want to recognize her for that.
Is she our number 1 fan?
She's a number 1 fan, absolutely.
What do we have for what do we have for Nashia, Walt? Are we going to send her to Northshore and drive?
Well, let's see what Carol Merrill has in the box over there. Yeah.
It's a set of toothbrushes.
But keep those questions coming in too, because we're loving talking about this stuff. I mean, you guys are the ones who set the agenda today. I don't know if the audience realizes that, but we had no real intention about talking about dreams particularly, but you guys took in that
But
direction.
that's what we were talking about. That's what we were talking about at the end of last week. And so
Well,
I
that's
think
true.
so some people
True.
remembered that and wanted to get back to that topic.
Well, then,
Like
all
Nashia.
right, good for them for carrying it through like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
have trouble carrying through a topic from one day to the next. You carried it on for a week. Good on you. Nice going. I like that.
That's because you're on twice a day, every day.
I know it's a little bit disorienting. Like, what did we talk about Thursday? What did we talk about Tuesday? I know we did a show. I'm sure of it.
This all
But they all
blends
kind of
together
work
for
together.
you.
They do.
But you're
Yeah.
becoming enlightened in the process, I'm sure.
I think I am. Yeah, I'm learning a lot. Well, that's where my original question came from today. It came from all this stuff that I've been absorbing while doing the podcast from talking to all of you guys. I got so many wonderful co-hosts who do these shows with me, and you all have terrific perspectives and ideas and thoughts on how all this stuff works. And so I'm just kind of like I'm the accumulator. I kind of accumulate and aggregate it all together, and I'm trying to filter it down to what the essence of the whole thing is. And in the process of filtering it down to the essence, that's where I came up with a question that I asked at the beginning of the podcast, which is, okay, am I putting too much effort and time into doing, or should I be spending more time just sitting in the boat and letting the boat take me downstream? Which is the better route? And maybe, I think, Tom, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Maybe it's both. Maybe you just turn around, let the boat take you downstream, and then you're steering as you're going. Maybe that's it.
And Abraham would always say, if it feels like efforting, then you're not going in the right direction. So that's the
That's
rowing upstream. So
Right.
if you're stressing out about what should I be doing in order to get what I want in the future, if you're trying really hard all the time, that's clearly rowing upstream. If you're stressing out about it, that's rowing upstream. So I guess it's just always relax and chill out and do what feels good. Do what feels like the
Yep.
next best thing, you know. And sometimes for me that is doing affirmations, or it is getting out my appreciation journal, writing things I appreciate. But to underpin the whole thing is meditation. You know, if we're doing meditation, I think we more and more find that balance naturally throughout our day, and we don't even need to be thinking about it as much. But I know the feeling of, God, I really would like things to change in a certain area of my life. And then we think, well, I better really apply myself harder. You know, I better try harder, do a little more effort, you know, so that things will change. But it is a total balance. It's like a dance. It's like learning how to finesse the balance between effort and grace, you know, receiving and projecting
Mm-hmm.
into our
Very true.
environment, you know.
Now, Suraj, this is Siraj as opposed to Suraj. Siraj is asking, how effective is lucid dreaming for making changes? Which is kind of what you were alluding to earlier, Tom. I mean, can you really make changes in your life through lucid dreaming by playing an active role in the dream? And if so, what kinds of changes can you make?
The people that I'm trying to learn from say definitely, you definitely can, because it's no different than your waking state. You can always affect things, and I think you can make all kinds of changes through the dream state. I'm too much of a novice to answer that question authoritatively because I don't have a lot of direct experience doing it. But working with the dreams the way I am working with them, I'm changing my life. You know, because I'm learning things about myself that are very relevant to what's going on in my life right now. And I'm asking before I go to sleep at night for that insight to come through my dream. And it often does, as long as I'll take the time to get up and write those 5 pages down, you know, of what the dream that came in, and then sit with it, read it again, go into the dream, ask questions. I can learn a lot, and I do. That's what I'm doing that a lot now. But the lucid dreaming is brand new to me, so I'll see what I can do with that.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. I've had one successful lucid dream in the past 3 or 4 years, and that was just a few weeks ago. and it lasted about 3 seconds. So I'm far from mastering the ability to do a lucid dream. I mean, do you have any experience with it, Alex? Have you been able to do any lucid dreaming and maybe do something with it?
Not on purpose, but yeah, I've done it. I haven't I've woken up from a dream and then I'm like, no, I want to go back because that was a pretty good dream. So let me go back
Right.
into it, see what happens. You know, whatever happened between me and Channing Tatum, I want to continue that dream. So I don't
Love
like
it.
waking up in the middle of those. So yeah, and then I'm like, no, 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 stay asleep, stay asleep.
Wait, come back, come back.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Nasha asked, I'd like to share this week's title with Dee Dee as well. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What's holding you back? You're like the
Fare
number one
away.
putting stuff out there. Go for it. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Is there anything new coming in here? Just a good conversation going on. A lot of conversation going on in the background, and a lot of
Well, it's good that
appreciation.
we can
People
start
are
a lot of
really
conversation.
well. I'm telling you. The other thing is, as I'm looking at the commenting going on, a lot of appreciation of each other. I'm loving
Hmm.
that part a lot. People, complimenting each other and empowering each other and so forth. I'm thinking, how often do you see that in a broadcast of some kind? It's not a common thing. It's something they may kind of slip in for 10 seconds, but this is
Right.
like an ongoing thing with our group, and I love that. Really, really
That's
good.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I love about my kids. They're both in their 20s and early 30s, and they're just, I notice their friends, they just give their friends so many positive affirmations constantly. Somebody will put something up on Facebook and everybody will say something positive about it. It's so
Yeah.
common in their generation. They support each other like crazy. That's
Hmm.
really nice. Yeah.
It's encouraging for me to see that happening on a regular basis. It makes me feel like there's a lot of hope. A lot
There's
of
a lot
hope,
of
Yeah.
hope. There is.
you
Yep.
know?
Tremendous lot of hope. Yeah. When we take our focus off what's going on in politics and those things that used to be the bellwether signs of what's going on in the world, and yeah, they're important still, but I think the grassroots is where all the change is really taking place. It's things just like this. It's like other human beings talking to other human beings and supporting each other and affirming the fact that we're all infinite beings. We're not determined by what a handful of other people are telling us what we can and can't do. We're
Hmm.
really in control here. Each one of us is a universe unto ourselves.
Now, Nasha's added another comment that I think a lot of people could identify with. She says, I wrote about my dreams so that they can come true. Because that's what people often want. They want their dreams to come true. And especially if you can be
Right.
dreaming the dream you really want. I mean, yeah, that's what you want. You want the dream to come true, right?
Hmm.
So what can we do about that? Is there an activity or a process we can follow to help encourage our dreams to come true in the sense of what we're dreaming when we're in the dream state?
I would say start doing what you're doing in the dream. Like act it out. That's what I would say.
So use the dream as an impetus and say, okay, it's not just going to be what's in the dream. I'm going to turn it into my real life as well. I'm going to
Yes.
carry on the next scene, so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's one of the things that Robert Moss talks about in his books, and he said that he's learned that from indigenous cultures, that when they have a dream, someone in the village, they act it out. They either dance it, they sing it, they do a play about it, they do something that shows the things that were happening in the dream. They bring them into their day-to-day reality. It's kind of a challenging thing to do for me. Like I'll have a dream and then I'll act out parts of it, in my living room, or I'll do a dance about it. I mean, I was doing that the other day, because I had this really crazy dream that went on, and I was just running in the dream constantly. I was pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself. So in the morning I got up and I did that in my living room. I ran around and acted that way, because this is what Robert Moss said to do. And but yeah, it definitely puts into my consciousness, it makes it more clear what the message of that dream was. About that particular message was how much I push myself to try so hard to accomplish things, and realizing that it's just how much it beats me up and wears me out, wears me down to try so hard to accomplish things. And the dream was a huge lesson in that.
Right. Bill G was commenting about the same question about what you can do with dreams and so forth. He says dreams are often a signpost of things we need to do in our lives, and he says the trick is to understand what our subconscious is trying to tell us, and then start taking action to make it a reality. What do you think?
Sounds legit.
Sounds legit.
Yeah. That was
All
the
right.
dream I had last week I talked about, where I got all these visions of me putting together these really complex projects with my hands, where I was making things and assembling things, and it showed me, because the question I had at that time was, how can I put together the modules for my workshop I'm creating, and feeling that I was very challenged to put them together. But in the dream, I watched how much skill I had at putting things together, and the message to me was, when I sit down to work on my workshop modules, I want to just have that same faith I had in my dream, that I can put together the things I need to make my life successful. That I can put together beautiful things that other people will benefit from. So the dream was a good example of that, of me doing it, and how good I felt in the dream at accomplishing that. So
Okay.
that's a good
So,
example
so
of that.
So to kind of carry on the theme, and Bill was actually adding on to his, he said, for example, when I dream about fixing or renovating my house, I know I need to make concrete changes in my life. So he's using the idea of the dream as a metaphor, a sort of a signpost or a symbol or an indication of what we really should be working on. It's almost like he's treating it like it's an inner being communication. Does that
Yeah,
sound right to you?
that's all
Yeah,
it
sounds
is.
right. Yeah.
That's all.
That's all a dream is. A dream is your inner being communication. Yeah, it's
Okay.
you. It's you. You know.
Well, I ask because I also know that Abraham Hicks, they talk about they talk about dreams in a slightly different way, and I'm probably going to mangle the way they say it because it's been a while since I've read this. But they talk about how a dream or a series of dreams is, in a way, it's the mind and the subconscious mind kind of cleaning itself out. So
Hmm.
the sleep process, the resting time, is among other things a time when our ability to attract things is slowing down. The momentum slows down so that we can slow down, so we can kind of do a reset, push the reset button. And in the process of pushing the reset button, we have to clear out, the detritus, the junk that's kind of accumulated, that's kind of getting in the way. And the dream process is helping to get that detritus out of the way. So I think about that picture of the dreaming and sleeping process, and kind of try to fit it into what you guys are talking about. And I see some overlap, but it's also perhaps talking about looking at it in a different way. That's why I throw it out there to see, what do you think? Does that resonate? Does that now sound right?
Yeah, I disagree because then that doesn't account for reoccurring dreams.
Okay. What
I
do you
think
think,
that
Tom?
I think that I like being open to what everybody says, and so I would like to learn more about how Abraham is seeing it. But I also notice, like when I read Seth, which is another channeled entity just like Abraham, they seem to have a, a, a huge emphasis on the power of the unconscious and the subconscious, and how much those realms are constantly communicating with us, and how we live totally in that realm as much as we live in what we call our 3D reality when we're awake, supposedly. Um, so I like to learn from Abraham too. Like if they're saying it's a certain way, I just want to leave my door open to all of it, and then whatever seems to be speaking to me in a given day, that's what I go with. So right now, I'm really looking at dreams as being rich fields of possibility that I can learn a tremendous lot from. The
Okay.
very fertile fields of unconscious, wellspring of good stuff coming out of there.
I have to say, I still feel a little conflicted about the whole topic. And I say that because, on the one hand, we're talking about getting information from the other side, inner being, higher self, whatever you want to call that. On the other hand, we've talked about like the Abraham view of it, just kind of cleaning out the subconscious mind. It's pushing the reset button. And then there's the idea of taking the dreams and applying them in our real lives and using it as an impetus for making changes and like Bill G was talking about, like it being a signpost of what it is that we need to work on. So there's all these different aspects going on, and as I try to put it all together, I don't know. I feel like part of the time it's almost like I'm being pulled into, well, here's what my higher self wants, and here's what I want, and here's what I don't have a complete integrated whole going on in my mind. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And so I'm not really sure what to make of the whole thing.
Hmm.
Plus, there's also that piece of me that says, well, here we are once again trying to take advice from non-physical beings about how to live in a physical world. And I'm thinking, wait, but there's something wrong with that one too. I mean, there's a reason why we're the physical beings. There's the reason
Yeah.
why we're here, you know? We're certainly us being here gives us a degree of expertise in what it is to be living in the physical world. So how do we
Hmm.
tie that in? I don't know. I still don't have a lot of answers. I've got a lot of questions, not too many answers.
Well, that's probably good. Because I
Probably.
think I think just leaving the door open to all the possibilities is a really good idea, and that's why the dream time is such an interesting realm to play with, because there we don't have physical bodies in the dream time, and yet we have perceptions as if we had physical bodies. And people who do out of body travel say that when you're in those other realms, you don't have your eyes there with you, but you're seeing. You don't have, your other senses there with you. Now, according to these people that travel out of the body, they say that you don't smell when you're in that other realm. They don't anyway, but they do see, you know and they do have certain feelings, like when you make love. This Bob Monroe, who did a lot of out of body travel, he's one of the pioneers of the whole experience, and he said when he made love in the other realm, it was much more ecstatic and incredible than it was in the 3D realm, but it wasn't the same. It happened in an instant, he said. So he would meet a woman in the other realm, and they know that they're making love, but it happens within what you would call seconds in this realm, and yet he would
Hmm.
have more ecstasy than he ever had making love in this realm. So it was like, okay, so there's just a lot of possibilities out there. There's a lot more going on than we think. And that's why I love the fact that so many indigenous cultures relied on the dream time. And it's huge. Like the entire Aborigine population of Australia, lives in what they call the dream time. And you start reading their accounts of it, it's amazing, and there's a seamless web between the dream time and what we call our 3D reality. They're not separate. There's an amazing thing happening all the time, but because we've been so conditioned to think of this realm as limited by what we see on television, what we see in movies, and the way we were raised, we think that things are very limited, and they're not. I just feel like I just want to expand my consciousness to begin to include all of it, you know.
Well, for me, that raises a question about perception. We talk a
Hmm.
lot about how perception plays a major role in our waking lives, our conscious lives, and that we each have different perceptions. We have different perspectives and points of view, and those points of view and perspectives make life interesting, first of all, because we all have different ones, and second of all, they inform the way we're going to understand what it is that we're interacting with. Well, why can't the same concept apply to the dream state? And I say that because I was talking with Jamie, who's one of the admins of the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group. We were having an online discussion on a post that she put up because she was talking about helping people who are not good at visualizing to learn to visualize better. And she had this
Mhm.
little exercise with visualizing a pencil, and I tried the exercise, knowing full well that I've had major issues with it. But I figured, okay, let's give it a shot, and it just didn't work for me, and that's what led to our conversation. And I pointed out to her that I experienced what is now called aphantasia, meaning the inability to create images in my mind. And most of the time, I can't create any images. Sometimes I can create really, really dark, faint images. I can't generate these big images. And I thought for the longest time that's the way it was with most people. And then I found out there are people who really do see complete images in their mind, and they're bright and they're brilliant and detailed. And I'm thinking, I'm so jealous. I want to feel this. I want to see that. Why can't I see what everybody else can see? But it did bring to my understanding and my conscious awareness the fact that different people have different levels of experience when it comes to visualizing. So
Mhm.
if that's true in the waking state, isn't it likely to also be true in the sleep state? So isn't it likely to be true that different people are going to have different perceptions about what they can see and hear and smell and taste and what that is like to even experience all that stuff in their dream state? What do you think? I mean, do you get the feeling everybody has the same kind of dream experience that Robert Moss was describing? I'm not so sure.
Well, I say obviously not because we're getting different views from different people. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't. We obviously to have different perceptions and different perspectives of what's going on in the dream state. So I agree.
I mean, when I dream, my dreaming is a lot like my ability to consciously imagine. It's pretty dark. There's not a whole lot of imagery going on.
Whereas
There's
mine is
action
bright
going
and
on.
vivid.
Yours is okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And are you able to normally create images in your mind when you're in your conscious awake state? Do you have nice vivid images when you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there's a correlation I think going on there. What we're
Mhm.
able to do in our waking state is probably the way we're going to dream in our dream state.
Mhm.
And be open to the fact that it can change. The things can
Well,
really change
I'm working
tremendously.
on that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really want that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and just to be receptive to that and to have a sort of a prayer. I sort of just keep a prayer in my heart, and I'm always trying to communicate with whoever my guides are, whoever the people, the beings are in that other realm that are helping me and want to assist me constantly, to just keep opening my heart to receive, to receive impressions, receive visions, receive whatever it is I need. It might come as a feeling, it might come as some words that just come in my head, some thoughts, but it might come some night as a brilliant dream that just teaches me amazing things. And I've had that happen, already in a number of ways. And I feel like I just want to stay open, just always stay
mm,
open and have a prayer out there, a request in my heart. Show me, I'm I don't know what this life is. I don't know who I am. I don't know the journey I'm on, but it seems like it's an amazing, infinite journey. So
right?
if it's full of possibilities, then show me, show me things. Open my heart. If I can have more abundance in my life, let me have it. If I can have a better relationships, let me have them. Let me be open to it, so I can receive. You know, like Abraham
Yeah.
said, 100% of our job is our receptivity. It's like that's 100% of what we're trying to do is to be allowing this stuff to come into our lives. So,
And speaking for myself, I have been doing that. I've been doing it. I was before asking for like a really big change. Like I want to see all the detail and all the color that everybody else is seeing. And then I realized that I didn't believe a word of that anyway. So I had to come up with something much more simple. So I've now limited it down to something that I feel more confident I can believe in. And that is, I just want to see blue, just blue, like a blue sky, you know? So show me blue, and I'm actively able on occasion to get myself to imagine blue and to think what blue looks like.
wait,
So I figure that's like the early baby steps that I need to take in order to climb out of the safe Fantasia hole that I'm in, and
Mhm.
maybe turn it into a point where I can be a vivid
yeah,
uh, imaginer. Because I mean, I keep thinking to myself, boy, if I could be a vivid imaginer, I'll bet you I'm even better at this whole attraction thing than I am right now, and I'm pretty good at it right now. But what happens if I can add that component? I think, whoa, that gets really exciting.
Yeah.
it's all learning, isn't it? I mean, we
Mhm.
just never were taught these skills. We should have been taught them starting in grade school, like
Mhm.
how to visualize and, how to have good relationships with people, all kinds of things we could have been taught, but now we're learning them as adults.
Well, the good news is the now is eternal, so we're learning now, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And I just learned that we ran out of time for the day, so we're gonna have to do some more learning next time. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
but it's been great. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you to our listeners who are listening to the live stream for all their contributions in the chat, because we really, well, I mean, that became a big part of what we're talking about here. And we hope that you come back next time. We actually hope all of our listeners come back next time as well. And before I say goodbye, I want to make sure I wish Alyx and Tom a Merry Christmas, because we won't be
Same to
talking
you,
until-
Walt.
All right.
And same to you, Alyx.
Same to you guys.
Yeah.
And Alyx, you and I normally do a Tuesday show with Carlos, but that show will get postponed for a week because of Christmas. So
Right.
there won't be any broadcasts on Christmas, either in the morning or the afternoon, but we will be picking up again. Maybe not even Wednesday, but Thursday for sure. We're going to be picking up again with a podcast, so you can be watching for that. So with that thought in mind, I would like to say Merry Christmas to our listeners, and we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.